Hey, how you guys doing? I'm Coach Mitch. I'm a federal law enforcement interview coach. I've been doing this about 6 years now, the 90.4% success rate across CBP, BP, Marshals, Secret Service, and also FBI, and also law enforcement too. So let's get down to business here. How are the oral boards first set up? Usually it's 3 to 5 people there, from lieutenants to sergeants. You might have someone who's not even involved in the law enforcement, like somebody from HR. Each person scores you according to their independent rubric, meaning that the sergeant's going to score you his or her way, the lieutenant his or her way, and so on, right? So most departments use a standardized forming. It's almost a structured type interview, meaning that they can only ask you questions on the format that they have for you, so it's called standardized. So how many questions? Usually 8 to 15, depends. Anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes is usually how it's allowed for length, of course. Sometimes they do what I call a follow-up, right? It's a small one, though. It's not a big follow-up. In the Border Patrol interview, totally different ballgame, okay? Those are true follow-ups. In the law enforcement civilian level, they might do a slight follow-up if they don't understand you, what your answer was, how you're answering. They might want to ask for some clarity. So the structured oral interview is to determine how you communicate your oral skills, right? Your oral verbal skills, decision making, and also it's how you fit in beyond the written test. Yes, the written test is great, fantastic, but the whole reason why you're in front of this oral board is because they want to see you. They want to check you out, see what you're all about, hear how you answer questions, see how you carry yourself, see how you sit, see if your back straight or not. Everything counts in these oral boards. So what are some common questions they're going to ask you? Well, before we get to the questions, see, in coaching, what I coach, I don't coach you just the questions. I coach beyond that, okay? I teach you how to answer the questions according to truly how they're going to expect to hear it based upon a law enforcement board. Understand? This is what they're looking at. So your communications are going to be very, very important. How are you communicating the problems, right? That's a big issue. Problem solving, of course, that's a big deal, especially for law enforcement, civilian law enforcement, because every day you guys are making problem solving decisions that are very important, okay? Integrity, that's a huge deal nowadays, especially because why? Everything's being recorded. They want to make sure you do not put a bad image upon the department. That's a huge deal. Motivation. Are you motivated to do the job? They have, in my coaching program as well, I have questions designed to get beyond the front face you're giving me to see your motivation, to check it out, see how you really are, see where you really stand. Interpersonal skills are really important these days, especially with all eyes on law enforcement these days regarding how you behave and how you do and what you do. If you're really serious about passing your oral board interview, I've been doing this for over 6 years now. I have a 90.4% success rate with FBI, CBP, BP, Marshals, all of it. Also law enforcement as well. Yes, 9 out of 10 people who come to me for coaching help in law enforcement pass the actual oral exam board. That's what it's all about, because I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for like a long time. I understand the material. I know who you're going to go against. I know what they're going to ask you. I know how to teach you how to answer those questions in a measured, intelligent, and problem-solving tone. So there's always one. Motivation and agency fit, right? This usually is, why do you want to be a police officer? Now, you had to understand this question. This is the one we're going to talk about just for today. This question is really what I call the historical question. This question has to be based upon the history of your desires. This means, last week I saw this cop movie, or I grew up watching NCI, or that kind of crap. Don't ever say stuff like that. I've had to teach so many of my clients in law enforcement who go before the oral board not to say stuff like that. You don't want to say stuff like that. Those are what I call artificial drivers. Those are not real drivers towards you getting your goal accomplished, right? That question truly is, why do you want to be a law enforcement officer? Should be a history-based answer. So what do I mean? Ever since I was 18, ever since I was 14, ever since this, I wanted to be a law enforcement officer because I wanted to protect lives, because I wanted to serve my community, because I wanted to be a part of a bigger organization to keep my city safe. It's things like that. It isn't, I saw NCIS and that was really cool, what happens there and blah, blah, blah. No one's going to be interested in that, and those guys never get a call back. In fact, for my clients, those guys are easy to beat because they are in the majority. They're not coached, they're not ready, they always fail. That's how it is, right? That's why they're part of that 61% who don't pass the police oral board. Yeah, 61% so far today as of 2025 do not pass the police oral boards because they can't even answer the most simplest questions because they're not being coached. They're walking into this interview and they're going to get hammered. The civilian police oral board is not like a civilian interview. Remember, it's law enforcement. Of course, it's going to have a different strain to it. It's not going to be where you're going to be in 5 years. Nobody on that civilian oral board cares about that. Judgment and ethics, behavioral history, things of that nature are going to come up. These are things we need to work on as a team so I can show you how to get past that. If you're serious, click the link below and get into my one-on-one coaching program. I'll show you how to do it. I've taught hundreds of law enforcement candidates how to get past the interview with a 90% pass rate. That's how I do it. A lot of people think it's about using STAR in a very overt way. It's not. Situation, task, action, result are not things you say in an overt way. I teach you how to use that to your advantage in a covert way. So it's embedded in your answer that they don't even understand it's there, but it's going to be there. That's how I teach you. People who sit there and think, oh, situation, task, action, result, they never make it. They're gone too. It is so easy for my clients to win because their competition is not ready anyway. Number two, their competition has no idea. They're walking into a civilian law enforcement interview, not a civilian interview where they're going to ask you stuff like, where'd you go to school? What's your degree? What's your GPA? No one's going to ask you stuff like that, right? Not ever going to ask you something like that. You know how to fold in some common amendments into your answers. I teach this heavily because I want these people to know who are going to interview you. You already are a smart person and you know how to answer questions that they're going to ask you, folding in maybe the Fourth Amendment, maybe the Fifth, maybe the First, maybe the Eighth, right? Things of that nature. I teach you how to respond to these guys and ladies in a way that makes sense to them because they're looking at you at the interview panel as if you are already wearing the uniform. Yeah, shocker, right? You're there in your suit and tie thinking, oh, they're going to ask me questions, blah, blah. No, they're trying to look at you already wearing the uniform. This is the part I cannot stress enough because this is where people fall down time and time again. I get emails all the time from people saying, my gosh, I went to the oral board and I got slammed. I wasn't ready for it. And of course, they become part of the 60% who don't make it. It doesn't have to be that way for you. I get emails all the time for people who failed it. But then I get emails all the time too from my people who make it. A lot. Every month I get, oh my gosh, I got to this area here. I'm in this state now, working over here now, because they understand the mission I give them. The mission is this. We're going to dedicate ourselves 100% and we are going to what? We're going to continue our mission. You got to continue the mission, which means you got to be ready for this panel. They're dead serious. They can pick and choose. They don't have to take you because you have a degree, because you have this or that. They don't have to take you. You have to be able to answer the questions as they come to you. And that's the hard facts. If you're serious, you want to put that badge on, work for your city, your county, or your state, click the link below, get into my coaching program. It's one-on-one. You and me are going to get you to par excellence. This is Coach Mitch. Continue your mission. Take care. Bye-bye.